What's up? Another manga haul today, and we've got a couple. And if you recognize this book here, this is the Mortared Kingdom, the Garo Bible. I will be going through that at the end of the video, so I will just move that out now. Okay. So, what we'll do first is I'll just showcase the other manga that I hauled today. The Garo Bible one technically was not a haul. I've had that for months and months now, so yeah, it was just that I didn't show on the channel yet, so just stuffed it in this video. But today, let's go through the other books that I have that I've acquired recently. So this one is an interesting one. This is like a train drawing or train painting art book by Goto Yuka, who did the Seigitai series. Goto Yuka serialized in acts, and she does Heta Uma manga. And this specific book is all about trains and drawings of them. And what's interesting as well is that they, in the book, have this very fragile map of sorts of, I guess, a train line. Maybe it's a game. Looks like a board game as well. Yeah, it is a board game. So you've got start, you've got the dice, and you've just got a board game with all these different train stations and all these stops, but printed on very, very fragile paper, but that's cool. But inside we have mainly black and white drawings with trains, and trains being the central motif. So I picked this up because I love Goto Yuka. I love her Justice Core series, but at the same time, the premise of this book was very interesting to me. You know, just a book fully on trains. And it's funny because it's not the only book that I have that is that has the central motif being trains. I mean, this one more so than the other one, but I've actually shown the other one on the channel before, and it's just funny having two books that focus on trains. Although the other one is a little more flexible and loose in that sense, in their sense, but got a little bit of color, just the red throughout. I was hoping there would be more color, but I'm fine with it. I do love her art, Heta Uma, of course, and at the back as well. I haven't checked it out fully, but I believe these are the models of the trains themselves. So, man, I guess Goto Yuka is a train otaku. But I haven't checked, but it does look like, just from looking at the names of it, they do look like train models. So this was published in 2008, and just a very interesting book to have. And I'll show you the other train book that I had. This one I have shown on the channel before. This is the train paintings by Yosuke Inoue. But of course it does have trains, but that's not the only focus. It's a lot more nightmarish in the art. And if you want to see the rest of the contents of this, check out my art book haul video quite a while ago. It's on the thumbnail, so you'll find it easily. But yeah, it's just very interesting to know that I have two books focused on trains and having trains as the main symbol or motif. So I thought that was really funny. So the next book that we'll go through is this one here, Cocoon by Kyou Machiko. And Cocoon is actually a book that I have read already. It's a drama sort of book that, if you take a look at the art style, seems quite innocent, I guess, but it is actually a very serious, and it can be a triggering story because it is about war. It's set in Okinawa, and it's about schoolgirls and how they navigate their lives during war. So if you take a look at the art style, very soft, cute sort of character designs, but there are a lot of different things that happen in this book that are quite sad, and you know, it is depicting the brutality of war. So I will probably make a separate video on this because I think the storytelling is amazing. Like, just having the juxtaposition of the sort of cute look of the characters versus what's actually happening in the story just makes it insanely memorable. So what I found also quite interesting about this as well was that this is actually getting an animated adaptation. So there will be in, I think, 2025. Yeah, 2025. Because I've checked AniList and, you know, after reading it, I found out, whoa, there is actually going to be, in summer 2025, an animated adaptation done by Studio Sasayuri, which I've never heard of before. I'm not sure if it's going to be a movie or like an OVA, but it's just very surprising to have something like this have an adaptation, and I'm all for it. So extremely excited for that. I will put details of it in the description below, but keep a lookout because it's a very sad one. It's a very real story, but it's extremely well made. So yeah, Kyou Machiko. I have read another work by her a long time ago called You, which was a weirder one, which I didn't really like, but this was the second work I've read from her, and it's amazing. So I would highly recommend Cocoon if you are up for more brutal stories depicting the realities of war. So the next two books that I have here are Throat Maze. And for the Throat Maze, sorry, not Throat Maze, what am I saying? This one is called the Throat Maze. This one's called Hataraku Kappa. They are both by the same mangaka, and this is by Sakabashira Imiri, who I have shown books on the channel before. They did works in Garo and Axe, known for their Softbee toys as well. So this one is titled Throat Maze, Nodo no迷路. And I believe this one was... Well, actually, no, this one I'm not really entirely sure what the story is, but you can kind of say that for a lot of Sakabashira's stories anyways, but you always have to love the character designs and the monster designs that he has, and also the detail that he puts in his backgrounds as well. So can't wait to get into Sakabashira's works. I have read a full work by him. It was, I think, Neko Kappa. I do have The Boxman, which is translated in English by him, but I haven't touched that yet. So this was in 2016. And this one, Hataraku Kappa, which means like the working Kappa. Kappa being that sort of yokai. Is a story about like a girl and a Kappa going to town or the city for a job interview, and a lot of things happen. And what I like about this book is that it's got beautiful color illustrations by Sakabashira, who I think is a master of color. Just looking at all of these, you could hang any of these up on your walls. But yeah, I only know the general premise. So a Kappa and a girl go to the city for a job interview of sorts, and weird stuff happens. Very weird stuff happens, just judging from what we can see right now in the pages I'm flicking through. Super interesting, and of course, if you love monsters or kaiju or anything along the lines of that, then I think, I've said this before, but Sakabashira Imiri would be a great mangaka to read for that type of stuff. And his stories are always strange and just weird. Nothing normal ever happens in his stories, but I think that's a plus, that's a bonus. So he did start off in Garo and then moved over to Axe once Garo finished up. But next we have is not a manga, it's an art book by Takato Yamamoto, which they've translated as Phantom Vision of Peephole, which is an interesting translation, and the peephole is here. This is hardcover too, so it's cool they've had that. This is what it looks like on the inside. Takato Yamamoto I have shown off before on the channel with his Vampire Box art book. He does a lot of Edo Guro works. Let me just move this out of the way. Here it is. All right, so we've got some photography and I guess some interview with him. And then a bunch of his different works. So more text than I thought, actually. Because I didn't really know too much about it, but I love Yamamoto, so having another book by him is always a plus. But he's got a very elegant art style with dark tones to it. This one is one of my favorites from this book. Amazing work. But yeah, it seems like there's a lot more text in this one and more photography. And this is him. This is Yamamoto himself. He is, was there, I believe maybe there might have been other pictures of him. No, maybe not here. That's fine. But yeah, this was a really cool one to pick up, published in 2010 and then reprinted in 2023. This is its 6th reprinting, so quite a popular artist. It's, I mean, well deserved. You know, his art style is very distinct, and the subject matter as well is really cool. So now we're going to move on to the Garo Bible. So let me just bring that out. Alright, so this is what the slipcover looks like. Big case, you might have seen it before. Wooden Mortared Kingdom, 20th memorial issue. This is the spine. And this is the back. I believe this is Katsuichi Nagai, one of the founders of Garo. So, to explain the backstory of this gigantic book, Garo started in 1964, and this book says it's the 20th memorial issue, collects a story from every single mangaka that had contributed from 1964 to 1984. So it's a gigantic 1,000-page anthology of every single mangaka who had appeared in Garo in those 20 years and one story from each. So the variety you will get in this book is absolutely insane. And if you think about it, 60s to the 80s, you have a lot of different things. You have Gekiga works, you have Heta Uma, you have Eroguro as well. So there's a lot of different things that you can find in this book. But we start off with a story, of course, by Shirato Sanpei, titled Zashiki Warashi. And I haven't read any of the book yet, of this Bible yet, just because it's so big. So some stories I will recognize and some I won't, because I do read the singular Garo issues. But I mean, in an ideal world, or eventually, I will make a series showcasing every story from this book, hopefully in the future. But yeah, I haven't touched it yet. So second story, we've got Mizuki Shigeru. So let's just flip through and see what mangaka there are in here and what we recognize, because there's just so many and so many stories that you will see in the singular Garo issues. Some mangaka are very popular ones, like Shirato Sanpei, like Mizuki Shigeru. Some of them have only appeared in Garo like once. So you really do get a big variety of stories, of art styles, of mangaka as well. But yeah, this is Tsuge Yoshiharu. This is the Chirpy story that has been translated in English. I don't recognize this mangaka, nor this one. This is Nagashima Shinji. I have shown off before. We've got Tsurita Kuniko, the first female contributor to Garo. And then we've got on there, where you saw it. Yes, Takita Yu. In the Garo videos I've done, I've noticed that some people do like Takita a lot, so I will, for you guys, flick through this page by page. Yeah, even though I'm not too much of a fan of his works, can't deny that his art style is amazing. And again, I have put up some of his animated works on my extra resources playlist. Some of his stories have been adapted into like little animated episodes. You can find it on YouTube just by searching his name in Japanese, but I have put some of them in that playlist if you are interested. But yeah, Taketa Yu, a very prolific contributor to Garo in the early stages of it, with a lot of whimsical, and some of his works are semi-autobiographical as well. They're like based on his childhood and the environment that he grew up in too. But yeah, Taketa Yu. And we've got an amazing double page spread at the end. Let me just move this to the middle. That's better. All right, so let's just move on and just see what else we have in here. This is a story by Tsuge Tarao. Of course, Gekiga, brother to Tsuge Yoshiharu. This is Yoshihiro Tatsumi. He did The Drifting Knife and was one of the sort of people in the circle that penned Gekiga and created that sort of movement in the Kashihon era in Osaka. So we've got a story by him. What else do we have? There's just so many stories in here. It's crazy that they actually did this. I don't recognize. Okay, this is by Susumu Katsumata, who has had an English translated work. Has had two, actually. One is Red Snow by Drawn and Quarterly. The other is Fukushima Devilfish by Breakdown Press, which is unfortunately out of print and very hard to find. So let's move on. We've got some Gekiga, Oji Suzuki, The Color of Rain. Yuzan Aki, Nonsense mangaka. This is My Fat Budgie, the adaptation of John Lennon's, I think, song or poem by Sasaki Maki. Another nonsense mangaka, has had a work published in English called Ding Dong Circus, but is out of print at the moment by Breakdown Press. Shinichi Abe, definitely have shown works from them before. This, I believe, was in the Miyoko Asagaya Feeling book, also out of print but translated in English. This is Tani Hiroji, who was serializing Garo and Axe, have shown off a book of his, Guns N' Roses in the Weird and Wild video. Hanawa Kazuichi, of course, one of the masters of Eroguro, also shown on the channel too. A lot of videos on the channel are related to Garo mangaka anyway, so there you go. This one is by Kusunoki Shohei, which I've read a couple of different stories from before, but this specific one I read in a recent 1972 Garo issue. I will show it off in a future video, but I love these last two, one of the last two pages in this book. Just the emotions that you see from the eyes of this boy, they were so strong, and I really love this specific story. So look out for that. It will come in another video in the Manga Magazine series, another episode of that. This one's funny. This is also in another 1972 issue. Now that I realize it, I think this book is in chronological order. So I should have realized it earlier, but yeah. Ozashiki by Akasegawa Genpei, who I have shown off in the channel before again. He's got a UFO book. He's got, he was in the Avant-Garde Masterpiece Collection video that I did. Ozashiki is a parody of Nejishiki by Tsuge Yoshiharu. Ozashiki, I think, is translated to something like Japanese styled room. Instead of screw style, it's like Japanese style or something like that. But you can tell it looks very funny if you know the original story of Nejishiki. There has also been another, not parody, but like, there was like a tribute to Tsuge Yoshiharu in one of the Axe issues, like issue 113, 130, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, a couple of parodies and tributes before. So I'll just showcase the rest of this. Anzai Miyamaru. Not sure of them. Ebisu, can't forget Ebisu. But yeah, let me just go through the rest of it. But don't worry, maybe in the future I will go through the rest of these stories. Hopefully one by one. But at the back, bunch of different essays and adverts. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Big book here. But hopefully I will get to reading this and putting this in a sort of video series, I guess, of me just going through every story. But yeah, that was my manga haul for today. Hope you have enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.